I thought about it for a moment, folks. Welcome back to the illustrious sound of my wonderful, magnificent, magnanimous voice. I am back, the blaster master, remixer, rolling on the wrist, talk about your bitch, hit you with the clip. Meek Mill. Meek Mill was worried about going back to jail. He's not on parole or probation or anything of that nature. He's not even really, to be honest with you, even being monitored to that degree. However, though, really what you all have seen was the end of the woke economy. And when I mean the end of the woke economy, yes, black lives still matter to a lot of people. Black lives still matter to a lot of corporations, and they have to get their Black Lives Matter marketing dollars because, to be honest with you, Black Lives Matter has presented itself as a lucrative class of potential customers that you can galvanize quickly up under one umbrella if you tie it to morality. And you know, we covered it in the woke economy statistically about millennials and Gen Zers, about where they tend to put their dollars based on what they feel in that particular moment and what causes. So basically, our generation and the generation that comes after us, technically we're kind of like Negro Planeteers. And because of that, we've had rappers advertise as such to us. Meek Mandela, when he had to go through with a rebranding, and yes, him being locked up and the whole black tour buses and everybody crying and talking about Emmett Till and Will Smith and Jay-Z's production company, all of that's a part of the rebranding process. And it's not a bad look to have Jay-Z in your corner that is right there kind of playing a Tom Brady to your Patriots, to your Buccaneers, okay? Nonetheless, though, Meek Mill was definitely concerned about a couple things. Here's the problem. He's basically in a two-faced Harvey Dent mode. Harvey Dent, that's Meek Mandela. I want to talk about the causes. I want to go ahead and champion for black people. And I'm not saying this is what he really means internally. He could really not care about anything pertaining to the general consensus of black people, but there you go with most with celebrities. When it comes to the cannon fodder class that supports them, a lot of times they genuinely don't care because, hey, I made my money. It's not my problem. So that part of Meek Mill and his advisors are really leaning towards the longevity of his career. Meek Mill is 33 years old. I mean, even people have joked, they said he's 35, he's 36, he's 38, but he is 33 years old. And the type of 33-year-old rapper for his particular type of pedigree of a rapper, the flashy type of rapper, they don't really usually last long. I mean, we don't really hear about 7-year rules with Meek Mill's type energy. We don't hear about just like a 10-year rule with his type of energy. With the exception is Jay-Z, but Jay-Z is the exception for many rules for other reasons too. So one side of his team and Meek Mill himself internally understands that, you know, I do have to kind of mirror and make this thing work properly. This career, man, so I'm trying to get into the big money.
Helps, Meek, because you got your ass beat in tennis. You got your ass beat. Keep going. Count out loud. Count out loud. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Don't cheat on your buddy hops. They suck. Your buddy hops suck.
I'm trying to sit down with the Robert Krafts. I'm talking to the billionaires. I want to be out there. I want to be presented as Black Lives Matter, or at least this is what the team is saying. So he's a great campaign for the black oppression child, for black oppressed America. That's what he originally was, but it was only a short-lived moment between his release and then the release of the championship album. And then, of course, at the apex of it was Jay-Z's What's Free verse, which most people cared more about the free verse from Jay-Z than anything Meek Mill had to say on that particular record, and it was his record. But we also got to keep in mind, what did championship represent? Championship represented a long-standing campaign by Roc Nation. And what I mean by that is this. You had a wave of Black Lives Matter soundtrack music. I mean, if you want to talk about the Black Girl Magic with the likes of Beyonce and Solange and their releases, very good albums. Then you had the likes of what went on with Jay-Z with
Kill Jay-Z, 444. What's better than throwing money at the strip club's credit?
You have that, of course, he's seen as the top dog of that particular type of organization. And for him to, quote unquote, have an ego death record, and also based on his infidelities as a husband, oh yes, a lot of the quote unquote guys up under him were like, well, you know, I speak to a therapist too. I talk to a therapist too. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm kind of putting into context why Meek Mill is in this position right now. Then you had Meek Mill. Meek Mill was the grand interest. He's almost to some degree more of the grand closing, even more so than Jay-Z or Beyonce, because what we really saw with Meek Mill at that time, people genuinely felt upset. They felt sorry. And some people, many black folk, men and women, could relate to the idea of an oppressive prison industrial complex driven system. So for Meek Mill to have been on probation for almost half of his life, or more than half of his life.
This guy got locked up at 19 and been on probation for 11 years.
And people was like, this is unjust. This is a travesty. How could this be? Of course. So Meek Mill had this whole thing. He was let out, but there was a campaign powered by the likes of Roc Nation and some other subsidies as well to get Meek Mill out. And then Meek Mill was to come out and release this album, Championship, and he was all in the interviews with the Ebros and the Charlemagnes.
Yeah, I don't even do no drugs, I don't pop no mollies.
And that's what he was saying. He kept talking about, I'm on my grown man shit. I'm talking to billionaires. I'm in the Illuminati meetings. I'm talking to Robert Kraft. I'm doing blood sacrifices. Meek Mill was very proud, and he projected himself as being proud for his quote-unquote growth. And a lot of people at the time were kind of like, well, maybe he did change. Maybe he did grow. Maybe Meek Mill has learned his lessons. After a while, that last bout of being thrown up under the jail cell and the way it went down, it would almost, nicely shake up anybody, especially if you're worth millions of dollars, that, I am lucky. Let me go ahead and actually do something. Hold up now. While he was doing his Meek Mandela Grove, his Meek Luther King tour, his Meekum X tour as well, a lot of things was changing in the nigga rap kingdom. And with the type of flashy rapper that Meek Mill is, there were a lot of youngins ready to take his spot. A lot of them even out of Philly, out of Chicago, out of New York, from the Fabio Forens to the Pop Smokes and to even people within his age bracket that were making better albums of him, i.e. Nipsey Hussle, God bless the dead. But nonetheless, though, there were plenty of candidates that were, for the most part, easily able to supplant Meek Mill's position. And in no part did the Meek Luther King side of Meek Mill himself completely accept that. This is where we get into the two-face side of Meek Mill's Harvey Dent two-face identity crisis. The other side of Meek Mill is the monster. The other side of Meek Mill is the individual that has weaponized his power, notably in the industry, against people for the most part that couldn't defend themselves. It has been noted that Meek Mill did have his boys jump Quentin Miller. In fact, many of the people and insiders who were around in that area at the time know that Meek Mill tried to offer the tape to DJ Academics because they wanted clout off of it. On the Queen's podcast, Nicki Minaj, in all of her erratic fashion, she took her time to break down how she was abused by Meek Mill with the brief relationship that they have, and it's evidence shown. We've seen Meek Mill basically run up on Nicki Minaj publicly as if he was going to send those boys in on Nicki Minaj and her pit bull killer.
I vowed from that age, no man would ever abuse me, call me out my name, treat me like that. And then all of a sudden, that was my life.
And then we had Meek Mill tentatively threaten Drake. Now, here's the thing about it. It was kind of a double-edged sword with Drake, as it always is. Does Drake appear to be biscuit tartar soft to a lot of people? Yes, he does. But does Drake have a lot of power behind him that will basically pretty much cripple most of the nigga rappers in the industry? Absolutely. And Meek Mill did say several times he wanted to have his goons jump Drake. It's kind of hard to jump someone who moves with more police officers than the president, as evidence showed when Drake showed up in Meek Mill's hometown in Philadelphia and performed back to back all throughout the night while Meek Mill and his crew was standing against the fence like some little rascals. It was a very desperate situation, but nonetheless, it does show that Meek Mill does not have any hesitation when it comes to weaponizing his power and using it against perceived weaker forces within the industry. Meek Mill has always prided himself of being a bully, but at the same time not really facing bullies. I can point to evidence when Meek Mill felt he decided he wanted to quote-unquote pop shit back at 50 Cent during a situation when 50 Cent decided to get emotional and also troll for the hell of it Drake and Meek Mill, and the fact that Meek Mill took such a huge hypothetical hyperbole L. Then when he was met with 50 Cent in person on stage, as we all can see from the video, Meek Mill did look very scared for the most part. There was no rah rah rah, there was no shut the fuck up, there was no I'll slap the shit out of you big fat steroid nigga. It was none of that. It was for the most part, yo, what we not gonna do? Wait, chill. And I usually notice with Meek Mill when it comes to these situations where the opposing side actually has some sort of force, Meek Mill tends to go into a docile state. And to be realistic, for many of the rap heads, I think you should blame yourselves because you didn't pay attention to Meek Mill. At the beginning of his career, right around Dream Chaser Negative Volume 1 or Negative Volume 2, right around the time when Cassidy and all of the other Philly cats were really getting in Meek Mill's ass, he for the most part, quote unquote, I'm taking a high road, man, you know what I mean? Because I got a lot of things to lose. You know, he was saying he was taking a high road, and it's kind of been that weird energy with Meek Mill throughout his career. He had no problem jumping Safari. for the most part, we did understand that Meek, Safari, and Nicki Minaj was kind of in a weird, hazy triangle relationship that some people was trying to understand, some people cared about it, some people just didn't care altogether. But we did know that the explosion came when Meek Mill got his Philly out of shape goons to run down on Safari and chase him and kind of like, okay, we're gonna put you in your place, Caribbean dancing nigga with your twerking videos. And I personally feel that Meek Mill, more often than not, in many ways than not, he was jealous of Safari. It's very hard for you to follow up behind the first love. But nonetheless, Meek Mill wore that L proudly. He was actually proud of what him and his goons had done. The public, for the most part, said, you're pretty much corny. Like, we get it. Safari is corny, but he keeps to himself. And so your corniness, you being the street nigga, allegedly, you being the loudmouth rapper and dissing people on records, you hold that L. Now you see what Tekashi 6ix9ine. Meek Mill did make it a point while Tekashi was going through his trial that he was saying, yeah, this is what happened with rats and hip hop. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's right, because I'm a real street nigga. I can recognize a rat a mile away. You know, I didn't really fuck with him, this, that, and the third. And then he did tell Tekashi at one point in time, upon Tekashi's release, when Tekashi was on his Mexican world tour, he did tell Tekashi, I'm going to make it my business to get rid of you in so many words. Therefore, kind of setting up the Vince McMahon fight that we ended up seeing later on. This is the case. Meek Mill is in a very strange position with his identity crisis as his type of rapper, the flashy, braggy rapper, which usually they all can be replaced. These are replaceable niggas. Meek Mill can easily be replaced by a Lil Baby or Da Baby or any other babies, Big Baby, Dumb Baby, Fat Baby, any nigga rapping out of some raggedy city about watches and bitches, he can be replaced. The issue is this: Meek Mill is 33 years old. He's already been moved into the Black Lives Matter space. The money smells good in that space, in the woke economy space, but really you're a dusty nigga inside. And it's hard to kind of fight your inner urges, which is why you're in Clubhouse arguing. And the identity crisis is, are you going to make your money in the long run, or are you going to continue to be an impulsive man-child that nobody really cares about anymore at this point? Not even the rap niggas even believe any part of his street narratives. It's a complete loss all around. Hang it up, Meek Mill.
What's up, everyone? It's your girl Sincere, and I just have to say Prince Solomon did an excellent job. And I just want to add my own 2 cents. I really feel that Meek Mill is a roach pretending to be a butterfly. I can't stand this nigga. I think he's one of the biggest bitches in rap music, period, as the girls from Florida say now across the United States. But one of the reasons why I think Meek Mill is a bitch, besides the obvious of him chasing down civilians and beating up Quentin Miller, and when he thought Drake was weak, he tried to press up on him, and so on and so forth. One of my biggest gripes with him is him pretending to be Martin Luther King III, Meek Mandela, police reform. How can you be about these things when you target innocent black men as much as you do the fucking cops? And you got people trying to say, well, there's a difference between Tekashi and Meek Mill. I see no difference. One is dark skin, the other is light skin with weave. That's the only difference. So I'm just gonna keep it short and sweet and just hope that he get back to his people, you know, the Robert Mac and Cheese Crafts of society, and leave the regular folks alone. Don't forget to subscribe to Thought Crimes. We also on Patreon, where we have exclusive live streams. We just didn't feel Meek Mill was worthy enough to have a live stream dedicated to his bullshit. So on that note, I am out. Peace. Don't forget to subscribe to Thought Crimes and also our website www.thoughtcrimesworld.com and our Patreon. Peace out, everyone.
To this day, to this day.
Perhaps you shouldn't turn your back on me.
Is that a challenge?
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
White folks are nosy. They have specials. Nosy specials. Why does a bee make honey? You ain't a bee. Why do you give a fuck?